Mac.
That's pretty.
Dang.
Hold on. Let me go run and get my little red.
Oh my god! Oh my
Meaning
goodness.
you know to come prepared, right?
You know what? I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna be natural.
I just wanna know that can I wear Mac?
You could
I mean, if that's what your preference is.
Mac what?
if you desire.
Mac Daddy.
I mean,
Mac
what
what?
Where the guys at? I mean,
I
where
know.
the guys at? Where the guys?
you want to try something? Do you want to try lipstick?
No, I'm not. The first time I had makeup is when I did. It was over the pandemic when I had to do
Oh, the lives on
live and all that kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I was like,
they
man,
do it all the time.
they covered every little flaw. They had me.
Hey, listen, you know what I learned from a client many years ago?
Mm,
She and her husband used to create these characters, and they would like meet up at a hotel somewhere, and they were married, but this is how they spiced up their marriage.
Ooh.
And they would like get a room, get it in, and then like leave and then meet back at home later like nothing happened, never talked about it. Never. And she said to me that it gave them the opportunity to really tap into their sexuality without feeling that they were being judged about it, or feeling like they, if they felt the urge to step out of the marriage, that's how they stepped out. So there was never an urge because they always looked forward to that other person.
Wow.
I got to tell you that it's a little intriguing.
Yeah.
When I sat in the chair, like, tell me more. Like at that point, I was just all about the tea. It wasn't even about like the clinical or like how I just wanted to.
Wait. Armina was like this.
Want me to where?
Right, and she said they get wigs and they dress up, and like
I'm gonna go in my pastoral collar.
Okay.
oh,
Interesting.
okay, kind of like that nun kind of like collar.
Yeah.
Oh wait, okay. So let's not act
People
like
do this a lot.
Hold on, guys. Let's not act like we don't know that he started the live, right? He started the live when we started. So I just want you to know that we bypassed the whole music. Like, you can't slip this past us. Like, we know
because it does say live after a while when I first go, right? It says live.
It does. It goes
Yes.
live.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Excuse me. Do you need anything, sir? Is there something you wanted?
Just to be let in. All the fun can't be
I
happening.
think Quest had to put his makeup on first before
You know
he
what I'm
could
saying?
make it in.
That was it.
Plus, what shade
Some
is
powder.
that? What
I had
shade
to
is
powder.
that?
I had to powder my nose real quick.
What
Mhm.
shade is that, Mac?
No, this is Mac Arabian Nights. Yeah, that's what this is. I just need y'all to know. I keeps, I'm just playing. It's-
Anyone seen TP? Where's Terry?
Cashew Brown.
Not cat.
No, listen. I need for Armina to repeat what she said.
What she said?
I would love to get your thoughts and your opinion on it.
What's she saying?
I
Just
can
what
see
you say.
Quest and Faith doing something like that.
What's that?
Yeah, I could see Leah doing something like that. This is a crew.
Listen, I mean, people do it in the home, but this is an extra, step. Like, that's what's up. I actually like the idea. Like, sounds like a whole lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Man.
I'm going to introduce the concept to Vince and see, like, maybe for an anniversary if we want to do something like that.
Why you gotta wait till the anniversary?
I like the concept of meeting up like strangers.
Yes.
I like that. Or to be.
Are we talking about role playing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I do that all the time.
But she took it out the house. She took it out the house.
Yeah.
Oh, I do it out of the house all the time too. Faith will be at the register at like a store or something, and I'll walk up and I'll just tell the cashier, excuse me for a second, ma'am. Do you think it's possible for me to exchange numbers with you, because you are I don't want this to seem creepish. And then the cashier's like, you know what I'm saying? And she just ruins everything sometimes. Sometimes she'll play along, but most times she'll be like, girl, this is my husband. She'll be like,
That big sigh, right?
A big shot.
This is
I,
a safe
I,
I
I
zone.
do
like
it all the time.
I like the idea. I like the idea of role play.
Mhm,
You know, the thing too is that there's an uncomfortability in sexuality, period,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so
Well,
even though what you're describing, Quest, is simply just asking for a phone number, like there's nothing sexual in nature in that, but it's such an uncomfortable conversation still. You
Mhm.
know, I think we started talking about this last time, where we're finding more swinging going on in the Black and brown communities,
Mm-mm.
whereas our cousins have been doing it for so long.
Mm-mm.
But I think we're just getting comfortable in our sexuality. And I am not at all, disclaimer here, I am not saying that that is okay for Armina. Okay, I just want to put that out there.
Mhm.
But I am seeing that. What's wrong with your eye? You need some eye drops? What's going on, please?
Mhm.
So
I mean,
what I had said was, I had a client a while ago who told me that she and her husband would do these role plays, but they would meet up at hotels and they would dress up in a character or an outfit, wigs, you know, and they would get a room and hit it real hard and then leave like as if they were strangers.
Pause. Hit it
Never
real hard.
found
Pause.
it, you know, I mean, hit it real hard. Like it could be conversations. Nobody knows what they do.
Pause. Pause. Mm-hmm.
But we're grown. So anyway, so that's just so you know.
I got a question for you. I want everybody to answer it.
oh Lord.
What would your role be, Leah?
You would come to me first.
Yeah, I would come. Yeah, what would your role be?
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. So probably, a gypsy. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you see, let's pause. You done did this all wrong, Paul. Quest, just so you know, we did not have an intro. We just went right in. He hit the live button. I got people texting me for the link. I forgot to even share it.
Look, I just shared it.
I forgot to share it too.
Oh, wait, we're gonna fix
it.
Okay. All right. Share, pause, share.
All right. Pause, share. Okay, straight off now, right? Leah said a gypsy. Let's go, Armina.
So there's two. One I will not say, but the safest out of the two, which is not even safe really, is probably a stripper.
Woo! Let's go.
It's like a pole and all. Like I would want to get to the room first, and I would set the room up. But
look, y'all, she's thinking about it. You heard that? She just said,
You know what I'm saying?
Look, Mina gonna have a bill sitting on the little end table.
I
Already.
have to make sure I secure the pole, because y'all have seen the reel where the lady spins on the pole and the lady in the pole falls down. Like,
right on the table. On the table. All right, I like that. You sure you don't want to share the second one?
Yeah.
Wait. I'm still stuck on. I'm gonna set the room up and yeah.
We'll make it clap. We'll make it clap. Yeah.
I want to make it clap.
You know what? Let me grab my pearls.
$100 bill you're getting. Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I ain't mad. I love that. I might need to hold a couple of classes. You know what I'm saying?
No, but so in all seriousness, right? At some point, you have to think outside. Well, maybe not. Maybe that is the conversation.
Wait, Mina, you going too deep in. Let us hear. I want to hear
We're trying to marinate on this.
Well, let me say this real quick though, right? This is the stuff, Paul. You did it a couple of weeks ago, and I ain't gonna lie. I stole the song, and I did a whole restructure of James Ingram and Patty Austin. How do you make You know what I'm saying? Like for how do you keep the music playing?
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like there's certain songs that we listen to that was the joint in one season, and it ain't the joint in the next season. And the next season, like everybody knows I'm a hip hop head, but for whatever reason in this season, I'm just like, I love it. I'll always be a hip hop head. Ain't nothing you could do about that. Nothing. But there's certain R&B songs right now that just do it for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to OJ's. You know what I'm saying? Your body's here with me, but your mind is across town. Like, you know what I'm saying?
On the other side.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's it just if you go back and you check the lyrics of that song, you know what I'm saying, with James, man, that thing is heavy. And so what you're saying, Mina, is like it's weighty because it's just like, yo, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, what am I on now? My third or fourth marriage with Faith? You know what I'm saying?
We show up different
every time. You're gonna have to like unpack that, but
unpack that. Yeah.
Can we get to the personas first?
So let me. I will. We're gonna get to the personas. I'll tell you why I'm on my third or fourth marriage. It's simply just because of the person that I married is not the person I'm married to. Simple.
Okay.
Look, Mina, I think, Quest was just trying to stall and keep us hanging out there. We just dangling the gypsy in the strip, right?
Quest,
I'm down.
What would your persona be?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
What would my persona be?
Other than the creep at the grocery store.
That is me all day, every day. Hey, girl, let me holler at you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what would my persona be.
I'm so terrible. I didn't even start sharing. I'm sharing now.
It's funny because we never really think about what our persona would be. We, or from a men's perspective, we always think about what you guys' persona would be.
You got it.
Like the French maid, or the stripper, or the woman that I just bumped into in the hallway, or the chick I met at the club, or
you're trying to stall what
right. This is what we do in therapy, right? We allow for the pregnant pauses. Just kind of sit with it.
Yeah, let me sit with it for a moment because I don't know what I would be.
Because I ain't know either.
I know mine.
I like the gypsy.
I know.
I like that. I like that. I like the stripper too.
Does the belly dancer come with the gypsy too?
Just
I'm like, babe, can you do
it? Made me think about a vacation we went on. And so I took a belly dancing class. They had it on the resort. And look, Lottie went out and bought the little thing with the little bells on it. So I'm like, okay. Hey, it works.
Hold up.
Woo-woo, Lonnie.
Let me find out Leah took a belly dancing class.
I like
Let me find out.
Listen, you got to keep the spice.
Come on. I ain't mad.
Okay, now what's your persona? You ready?
Let's go, Quest.
I don't know, man.
Oh.
It ain't that hard. Be creative.
Yeah, be creative.
You're safe. This is a safe space.
It's all the way.
You know me.
Because by the time it's over, it's going to be about 1,200 views. So it's a safe space.
I don't pull no punches when it comes to me. I just don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? I would like to be maybe, the dude who's on a business trip and bumps into you in the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so you come in with your attaché case.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right?
Attaché
case.
Just make certain that your shoes in the lobby, are tight and that you're smelling good.
Yes.
Oh. Excuse me a minute. Excuse me. Me. And she would turn around and be like, yes. Excuse me, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Or you time yourself on the elevator, going up on the elevator.
And
you let the door just before the door closed, or you think you're gonna miss it, you stick your hand in there. Unless the door open back up. Oh, sorry. I'm so glad I caught the elevator.
Or just a hot
girl. Okay.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Now I'd say some wild stuff like, were you born that way? Born with were you born with that?
Well, you smiling way too much, Sade. Way too much.
Well, because I thought about mine.
Okay.
I just want to be able to talk wild. Like,
That's all you want to do, Quest?
I just want to be talk wild and it be okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't be. You know what I'm saying? I just want, if that's my persona, that's it. I want to be able to say some off the wall stuff and not get in trouble for it.
So plus, you don't get to hide behind that. We're gonna come back to you. So please.
All right, let's go.
And you too, Paul. You said a priest.
I think I would walk up in there with a collar, but not because
Just
I don't
the
wear
collar?
collar.
Ooh.
Just the collar.
Let me bless you in the name of Jesus. Let me lay hands on the places that you need it most. I feel like you have demons in this part of your body that need to be exercised.
I didn't even go that far.
Hands.
Look,
hey, look.
Sprinkle it.
Yo, TJ said I like the gypsy and the bells jingling.
Yes, ma'am.
I got you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so where your shot at? Go ahead, shot at.
So mine it's a persona and a
Oh my gosh, Jesus.
like a fantasy all in one. I would be stuck on the side of the road with the flat tire.
Jesus, come on now.
And
Come on now.
Panic in the truck.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
let the Lord use it.
You know why hers is different? I'm gonna say this, right? And I know all of ours was meetups with our husbands, right? Just hear me out, right? Yours sounded a little bit pornish.
But it would be with my husband.
Stop it. All of our scenarios
on the side of the road.
Scenarios was not looking
So let me say this. Mine is I feel as though in a safe place with the first mine is I feel like in a safe place with my husband. Anything I've wanted to experience sexually, that is a safe place to do it.
Okay.
So
okay.
The risk and it would be a unified, like we are agreeing that this is a risk we're going to take. So I feel as though in marriage, there are limits, but things can be brought to the table and a conversation can be had as if this is okay for us to try at least once.
Okay, hold on. I see Terry in the Terry's in the green room. So we're just not gonna let him off the hook. We don't want him to say hello. We don't want him to say, hey guys. You know how you go, I'm here, you know. We're gonna just hold on. Hey Terry, how you doing? Question. Question. Go ahead.
You know, I heard that whole conversation, right?
So you know the question that's coming to you then?
No, I heard what he said. We ain't gonna say nothing. We just gonna go ahead. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right.
No, okay, good. Then you don't know. Armina, hit him real quick, Armina.
No, you got the question.
Okay.
I had the scenario.
You're absolutely right. So in the scenario of you and your wife playing a role, meeting up at a hotel room as different individuals to spice up your marriage, what would your role be? Now, I just want you to know, Leah,
Trick daddy.
She's gonna be
She's gonna be tricked.
Trick daddy.
TP gonna be trick daddy. Dr. TD. Come on, TP.
Because you know Armina about to get
that.
you can tell Armina about to get technical with this. Armina said that she would be a stripper.
Lord have mercy.
All right. Sade said
With the pole. Don't forget
the pole. Sorry, with the pole.
And the bills.
And surfboarding. And surfboarding. Surfboard. I love this.
Look, we know who used to be over there off of
hey.
In the city, 8 Mile and
8 Mile. Listen.
Right.
In Atlanta,
8 Mile in DeQuinda.
come on.
So
MC.
Sade said that she want to have her car break down over a flat tire
On the side of the road.
on the side of the road.
Waiting for the good Samaritan.
Help me, sir.
Mhm.
As
Ma'am,
we
you look
fly
like you're
through the
ma'am,
truck.
you look like you're in need of assistance.
I'm so
Wait, is he gonna have a country Dallas accent? Sade, is he gonna be from
so
Texas?
pull up in that
Ma'am.
truck and be like, "You good?"
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
may I help you?
hold on. Wait, y'all, wait.
Stop it.
Ma'am,
What's
May I
going
help
on here is your carburetor
First of all, that is
needs
not
to
how we
be
sound in the
switched.
great state of Texas. That is not how we sound.
Ma'am.
seems like you're flat.
Let me pump you up.
Are we talking
right, okay.
pineapples?
All right, Terry.
Okay,
Right.
oh, watermelons,
What you
pineapples.
got?
Okay.
Oh, we're
Okay.
live.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know we were. I
Oh yeah, we
I
live.
thought
brother.
we were just.
Oh, we
You know,
live.
nothing is sacred with Paul.
That's right.
No,
No, nothing.
I don't know. I've always wanted to play the pool boy.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Okay.
That's dope.
I always wanted to play the pool boy. Let me come clean the pool for you.
You've inspired me, Dr. TD. Now I want to be the plumber. Let me fix your piping.
You want to be the plumber.
Because I got some
Now I
pipes
wanna
that
be
need
the
to be
plumber.
laid. You got some pipes that need to be laid.
Yeah, I got some pipes. Ma'am, this whole area right here needs to be replaced. Let me just put some new pipe in here. Yep. I want to be the plumber.
Okay.
Probably
And
gonna be an
Paul didn't
all-day
tell what he wanted to
process.
be. Paul wants to wear
He just wants to wear his
right. He just want to, be a priest with just a collar, nothing else. But wait, Paul, are you going to be in the
It looked like you got a broken neck.
confessional room? Are you going to be on the other side?
Of the room.
She gonna do
Confessional.
confessional. She can do confessions. Ooh.
So wait a minute. You just want to be a priest because you
Ooh,
want to
I got it. I listen. It just hit me. Yeah.
You want to exercise. You want to exercise demons. Is that it?
No, we're gonna get a little wall. Father, I have sinned. Wait, Father, I'm about to sin.
You know what?
No, it's bless me, Father, for I have sinned. What was the last confession?
Let's be
Last
very
week.
clear.
Yep, the
that
Lord is my
we're-
shepherd. He know what I want.
Let's be very clear that we're talking about marriage.
Yes.
We're clear.
Mhm.
Okay,
we are
let us
clear.
not have our single folks running out here talking about.
Oh yeah, no.
Telly, okay.
Oh yeah.
Fact. And I like what you said. So let's start up with your scenario and let's talk a little bit about that. Let's start over just for those who are joining us. More people have just popped on. Talk to us about that scenario and how do we move forward? How do we deal with that? How do we deal with that?
Simple. I had a client who she and her husband were on the brink of divorce, and so they decided to do something different, something that they had never done before. And it was to create personas that each of them would portray. And so their thing was to go to a hotel and they would show up, they would be dressed up in different costumes.
I love it.
And they would go to the room, they would do whatever they did in the room and leave and never talk about the experience. And then the next month, it would be a different location, so all month long, they were trying to figure out. So it was never the same persona each time. They tried different things.
Let me tell you something right now. It ain't gonna be no Radisson. It's gonna be Roach Motel.
Well, I will say that they are still married and even happier than they ever were. So there's a science behind it, right? And when we're talking about spicing up the marriage and keeping it fresh, as we grow in marriage, we change, our needs change. So and I think Quest said it beautifully when he said he's on his third marriage with Faith, because as she and he grow, they grow together, and desires change, not their desire for each other, because that still remains. It's just their drives change and the things that motivates them change, but they're right there together with each other.
I would love to. I would love to ask this question because there's a flip side to all of this, right? Clinicians, there's a difficulty sometimes. I've dealt with it with couples, and I've worked with them in terms of these are the goals that you've established. Which do you value more, the difficulty of navigating the conversations or reaching that goal as it would, whatever the goal has been set? Because as we talk about this, like this couple was on the brink of divorce value, and they decided to do something that they probably would not or have not normally done. Right? It required something different. It was a drastic situation and it required drastic measures, right? And they did something different and it worked out for them. How many couples do we know, right, that can't even have the conversation? They're navigating from season to season. You in season 3 and you still haven't had a discussion about the difficulty in season 1.
Wow.
Oh, so you just assume that couples understand season work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's it.
Because many couples, at least the ones that come in my chair, when I see them, marriage is a string. Like there's no break in it, right? They are frustrated 15 years down the line, but they never stopped along the way to evaluate and talk through some of those difficult conversations. So when you're saying that, I want us to be very mindful that especially the traditional Christian marriage, it's like it just is ongoing. Like there is no introducing new things. For those of you who were at the talk that Ali and Denise did for Denise's birthday, where
first of all, let me just share with you. Wonderful, Armina. You. Okay, we can't curse on here. You did well.
You did your ish.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. It was just I loved the very fact that you were not talking to one set of people.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying? That we were not talking to church folks alone.
Right.
And I think the way that you spoke was that you were speaking to church people the way they needed to hear it, not enveloped in a cloud.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying. Kudos.
And I wish, like obviously, that there was time. We ran out of time. There were some great questions on the floor, and one of them is, if you want to switch things up in the bedroom, how do you have that conversation with your spouse without them thinking that you are unhappy with just what's going on in the bedroom? Like without them personalizing it and making it about themselves. How do you have that conversation? And then there was another question about, if you don't like something about your spouse, how do you tell them? And can I just tell y'all that 99.9% of the men in the room came to the microphone and here's what they said. I would say nothing.
Nothing. I was there.
That's it, Mina. That's it. So there's this big dirty elephant in the room that we see it, we know it's there, but nobody's addressing it. How long will it take? Because here's the funny thing. That same couple, if I can go back, I don't know the fullness, right? But I'm guessing, right? Or I know of situations that has been the case.
But Quest,
either they have the conversation, Leah, or they end up having a side chick or a side dude.
Right. What can we answer?
But the sexless marriage is a symptom. It's not really the major issue, right? And so you have to be able to, find a way of engaging in conversation that deals with as Michelle put here, hey Michelle, to deal with the why, like what is really going on with that individual, not the symptom of what it is manifesting into within the family, right?
And how do we get the one partner that is willing to be sexual to not personalize the sexless marriage?
Well, I mean, don't we see it as don't we see it as personal? If my wife comes to me and says to me, "Hey, I don't feel like you want me," or what have you, or your libido seems to be down, or this, that, and the other. I mean, instead of having the conversation, I'm just telling you, I would probably feel like, yo, what's up? My joint works. What's up? Are you gaslighting me? What's up? And the fact of the matter is that I shouldn't be upset if she said that.
Right.
I shouldn't be upset. That's the only person you should be able to talk to about that situation for it to get better, and not feeling like, yo, what's going on here?
Because
So
the issue is,
men
why
don't
is it
have
about you in the first place?
Say it again, sis.
The issue is why is it about you in the first place?
Right.
That's why I don't like talking to you.
I have a question though. I have a question. Because these are the conversations that makes marriage, and this is just from my perspective, unattractive.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because as a single person who's dating, these conversations are very fluid. Like if I meet somebody and we can converse, like, how do you feel about this? What do you feel about that? My question to y'all is, what happens when you say I do, to where conversations aren't as vulnerable, aren't as transparent as they were prior to marriage, or were they never that way in the first place?
I want to start off by saying part of the problem is that when you said I do, you did already. All right. There's no surprising element.
Or P, you said I do, but you didn't know what you were saying. I do too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Or you can say I do and then you don't.
Ooh.
Or I do. Now what do I do?
Yeah. Do I do?
What you do?
What you do? All right, I'm sorry. Okay. But I like the question, because nowadays there's a lot of people who are saying, I don't think I want to get married because I don't want to end up like y'all.
But when we make sex, right, the pinnacle of a marriage, that's the problem.
So
right?
is the problem communication?
No, it's just the fact that that's all that it is that you're really reaching for.
That's what I want.
And not the whole person. Right? Because there's going to be moments where, you have the roller coasters in your marriage. So let's say, your mate goes through some sort of health challenge and they cannot. Do you let your marriage fall apart because of that?
That part.
If that's
Some
all that
people
you
will.
really desire. Yeah.
Some people will.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will go out and seek. I mean, I just finished my class tonight, and I got a 5:30 and a 7:30, and I'm talking to these guys who was like, man, she wasn't giving it to me, she wasn't this, she wasn't that, and I said, so let me ask you this: were you cheating? Well, I mean, I'm like, I didn't ask you that. I asked, were you cheating? And that could really, really bring it down, because now the woman is like, well, you out here slinging that thing around. You got the community D, and it's just like, I'm supposed to, I don't know who you've been with. I don't know what you bringing me. I don't know any of that. Absolutely. And so it's like, that has a huge, we cannot forget that piece of it. That is a huge piece in, not wanting. Here's the other thing. Like, I don't know where Amina went, but we were talking about when men don't speak about certain things. There's a lot of things that, okay, women think that men are always ready to go. Okay, always ready to go. But just like them having to be brought there when we get there, you see what I'm saying? Wait a minute, hold on, something don't smell right. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing: it ain't got to be between your legs. It could be your breath. It could be your underarms. It could be your hair. If you're wearing a weave that's been sitting on top of your head for a minute, or that thing ain't been washed. It could be anything like that. Or it could be you lay there like a dead fish. You know what I'm saying? And this person has to do all the work. And so, cut it out, Paul. And so it's like, you go in there and just like, man, so I got to do everything. Or you always have to be the initiator. You don't ever want to, and then how do you Do you bring somebody to the marriage bed?
Well, slow down, TP, because you're touching some stuff right now.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
know how many
Come
times
on, I
I've
gotta
heard
get
those
up.
conversations?
Yeah, come on, I got to get up and go to work in the morning. Well, look, if you want something, you better come on, because I ain't doing nothing. So, what? You know what? Keep it. I don't even want to, you know what? It ain't going to keep it. But here's
So
the
all
thing.
of that
I used to say
triggers.
in my class, give me 2 seconds. If you don't take care of home, you can't get mad when they roam.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I mean,
If you don't take care of home, you can't get mad when they roam.
what's wrong, Sade?
Does that go both ways though? Because
Absolutely. Who said it was going one way? I said they. I didn't say male or female. If you ain't taking care of home, you can't get mad when they roam.
So
you can be mad, but you can't be mad.
But
you can be mad, but you can't be mad. Sade, I need to hear you. I need to hear you.
Because I think that mindset, especially if we're talking about Christian marriage, right?
What marriage?
A Christian marriage. If we're saying that if I don't have the capacity to perform for my spouse, for whatever reason, maybe I feel disrespected by my spouse and we haven't talked about it. Maybe I have a lot of other things going on to where I just don't have the capability. Then you have people, I'm not even going to say just women, who are laying down just to lay down to fulfill his needs while her needs still aren't being met. And that is what creates the space of, you know what? I'm good on it.
Let's say all of those things are not an issue, because I know, and in my mind, I see them right now, and I ain't gonna say no more as far as that's concerned. But there is no real issue as far as the needs being met. It's just that part is not taking place, right? And I get it. Me and Faith experience a little bit of this as well, because she's in a season now where she don't even got no control over her own doggone hormones. So this she gets a whole pass on, because she can't, right? As far as I'm concerned. But she and I had a conversation about, right? And when she's in the place, she makes sure that she does what she needs to do. Even sometimes she don't even look at it as me handling business for my husband. She looks at it as ministering to my husband, right? But the situation that I'm talking about, though, like, there's no real the relationship wise, everything is dope. She's also experiencing a little bit of, but my man has come to me on more than one occasion, bruh, a month and a half.
Listen, bro, I'm
right?
gonna say this. I'm gonna say
we're not talking about a week or 2 weeks. What happens when, like, for real? Because, you know, for us, like, I see you walk across the room. I can see Faith walk across the room in a sundress, and I'm like, yup, whatever we finna do, let's go do it real quick and get back home early. You know what I'm saying? Because we're visual creatures.
North Carolina sundress.
Clinicians, you know what it is with men. We could be driving home on the way from work and see a lady on the billboard. What's the suntan
Copper tone.
Copper tone. We could see a copper tone commercial and be on the way home and be like, yup, as soon as I get home. Why? There's something about that visual thing.
But
right?
why do y'all think we're not visual? Why do y'all always feel like we're not visual? Like, we don't see a good looking man to be like,
I don't think it affects y'all the same way it affects us.
I don't think it affects y'all the same way.
I think the emotional
how do you all know that?
How do you know that?
I don't from what we see, because sometimes it just take a breeze.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I will say this. I think women feel just like men do. They just don't broadcast it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because the deal is this: you can put on some nice cologne, and women are like, "Oh my God, that joker there! Oh Lord, he smells so good." Give you that extra hug at church, whatever. And when guys young, see guys put cologne in their hair.
Put hug them from the side,
so when they touch a female, it'll be on their clothes. So the thing about it is, I think they feel the same. They just don't broadcast it.
I also think. Wait, one quick second, Paul.
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Culturally, women are shaped different, right? We are
right. Oh, wait a minute. You talking about something different?
No, I'm saying we are reared and raised differently in this culture, then men, you all are taught to go sow your wild oats, right?
Yeah,
Like
we
go
Y'all
out
don't want to be.
here.
Y'all don't want to be considered no hoe, no nothing. So you keep that stuff, repressed.
But it's not so much that we don't want to be considered no hoe. The reality is the culture shapes us to not show up as this type of an individual.
Right.
You
Listen, hold on.
all
I'm
are
looking.
given license to go out here. I had an older brother. My father was one way with my brother. I would hear him have conversations like, look, she fine over there, right? He would never have that type of conversation with me. It was, you better stay away from my baby girl, right?
You his baby.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is how you raise the man and the woman in two different veins. And now when we get married, you expect for us to be able to operate in the same space and to have the same sorts of vulnerabilities and openness. You all have been reared to be open. We've been reared to be closed. Doesn't mean that we're not sexual beings.
Pass some cookies over here.
Right.
I'm saying, I can't even eat
trying to
those.
say,
That's
what I'm trying to
wrong.
say is the cookies are important.
Right.
Shoot.
The
And I-
cookies are important, but the
But,
cookies, what did Steve Harvey say? Don't give up the cookies for at least 90 days.
Days, yeah.
But he ain't telling the dude that.
Huh.
90 days.
Wow.
Leah brings up a good point, and the point that she's bringing up is once we are now married, there's an expectation of us that we were told to stay away from when we were single or when we were dating. You wouldn't marry, I forget who used the word hoe, since y'all put it out there, I'm gonna just say that. You
It was
wouldn't
me.
marry that, but you might want that in your marriage.
Right.
You might want that behavior, I should say, from your wife.
I gotta ask. I got a question that came in that's not on here.
Okay.
A question that came in that's not on here. What do you do when your husband is not interested in this for some years?
Interested
What-
in sex?
Yeah. What would you tell the woman? And the woman is interested in him.
The first
I-
question I would say is she's interested in him.
Hmm.
No, she's not.
What?
Why?
Why would you say that?
Why not?
You said there hasn't been sex for how long?
No. It could be years.
Okay.
I'm only going by a text that I just received.
Can you read that again? Read the text again.
What do you do if your husband has not been interested for years
Interested in you or interested in sex?
In
in
sex.
sex?
Sex.
And that's a very good question,
It is.
Quest, because that's where I was going. You see what I'm saying? If you ask her, do she love him? She'll probably say, yeah. If you ask her, do she like him? She might say no.
Whoa, let me
Here's
get
the
this right, because
thing.
it sounds like you talking from him. She said he's not interested.
Right.
He's
Oh,
not
well,
interested.
All right, flip that. He may say he love her, but he may not like her.
No, let's not.
And,
Let's not.
and no,
I don't know the situation.
He doesn't. He's not interested, right?
Yeah, he's not interested in
So
having
here's
sex.
the thing: if they're sitting down in my therapy room, I would say, "So what makes you think that? What has happened? What is going on?" I'd ask all those questions, and it could be there may be something about her that he does not like,
But what? Okay. So
or it could be he got an issue going on with him.
right. So I think the main about her, right?
There she goes. She's raised her ugly head. Go ahead, Sade.
He
Go
could have
ahead.
cheated. He could have cheated and feel guilty and like, don't go back. I can't do it with my wife no more because I cheated.
But
I'm sorry. Sorry for him.
I think your initial response of he doesn't like her is the problem, right? I think we have to understand. I've been in a relationship where my ex had all of these external things going on, where his job was going crazy, his mother was sick with cancer. He physically, mentally could not even conceptualize intimacy because his mind was not for a year. Your mother's battling cancer. You are your job is on you every day about something else, and then when you come home, all you want is, can we just talk? Like, I just need a space to breathe. I don't even have the energy to perform in that manner. So I think to make it to where the initial response is, oh well, he loves her but he doesn't like her, it could be something, I would choose to believe that it's something with him. I would tell her, like, maybe y'all need to go sit in front of somebody and he needs to explain
Yep.
to you, have a safe place to tell you, this is what's going on. Your finances could be funky. I have learned men who do not have money do not like to do a lot of things, and sex is one of them. Because they're so focused on how do I get to the, if he's used to having money, let me say that. Finances can make it to where it's stressful. Stress.
I mean, if I got money or I'm broke as a joke, we gonna tear something up.
But as a joke and your son's tuition is due, if you broke as a joke and your son's tuition is due, your mortgage is due, your life's about to be turned off, I don't think you're gonna be like, let me dive in that real quick.
I would, because I'm not. I've left.
That's their
weed.
piece.
I left the weed alone, so I need something to, you know what I'm saying.
Can I just say this, right? I feel like we need to. So first of all, my first thought about that text message, P, is tell me more. Because what we have done is we have created a narrative about that text. And granted, they only gave us that, right? So we're just going off of what they gave us. But we've been talking about sexual intimacy so far. And we could title it, that's sort of what we're talking about. And that is a significant aspect of a relationship, of a marriage.
Right.
But there are challenges that can happen and can stem from different factors. So in this situation, I would suggest, and maybe this has already happened, but approaching the situation with understanding and open communication, because I would want to ask this person, what has been the communication around this? Because we can move forward or create a narrative if we don't know what that has been.
Okay, I have a question for you.
But what could be said though is definitely right. There is some incongruence, right? And her desire is not matching his desire, right? And so the need for finding common ground to engage in conversation, I would say, would be step one, right? Without, us kind of, because it could be a plethora of different reasons why he is not showing up as a individual who desires sex in this moment. And so it is figuring out, how can you have an intimate moment? And that can just simply be talking. That could be creating a safe space, an environment where he feels safe to be able to disclose, right? Again, we talked a little bit about culture and how culture shows up for us as women, right? We should be this chaste individual, but what is it when the man may have been reared in similar sorts of spaces, right? So yeah, I would say just creating that safe space and seeing if he will lean in to an inquiry as to what is going on. Right.
And also to add to what Leah's saying is that there's this whole thought pattern that, or I should say, it's essential for us to understand that intimacy isn't just physical. There's this whole emotional intimacy that plays a huge role in creating the space for healthy sexual relationships. So and maybe a therapist is not who they see. Maybe they actually see a sex therapist that can help uncover some of the underlying emotional or maybe even psychological concerns that exist.
I got to ask you this. Even I'm going to ask you this, Sade. All of us have been, or all of us have been married and married. Ooh. What does healthy look like? And I know it's different for so many different people. I do. I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and they said that, I think that when I got married, my thought was having a sexual relationship with my husband, it would mean maybe once a week after marriage. Okay. I said to this person, that was not my intentions in getting married. That, for me, for Paul Graham, that wasn't healthy for me. Oh, you understand where I'm coming from? If we dated and we talked about it, if we fondled, if we played around, if the whole nine, this person would know that I want to know when we're not doing it, not when we're doing it. Oh, you understand where I'm coming from? I'm sorry. I'm talking about first getting married. And don't get me wrong. Everyone's different. What healthy might look like, and I get it. I'm going to ask each one of you, what does healthy look like for you? And I don't mean how many times a week. If you want to add how many times a week, that's fine. But what does healthy look like for you? And I want to start with Terry, if you don't mind, Terry. For you,
I do. Go ahead. I'm kidding. What healthy what? Sexual relationship? What?
Yes. Yeah. What does that look like for you? And right before you go ahead, for those who are watching online, I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm going to coin it differently for those who are online. How many times a week is healthy for you in a marriage relationship? Okay. And how many times per week for you? I'm going to ask those who are online. Just put a number down and put it in.
When we say healthy, are we looking at this from a personal perspective or from a healthy from a couple?
Exactly.
Hold on, wait, y'all.
You say for me, doggone it.
Wait, my mama watching. My mama, do not answer this question. Mama, do not.
I want mama.
No.
I want your mama to answer that question.
Mother,
come on, mama.
Come on.
Come on, mama.
Pronounce it for me. Pronounce it for me.
Let me say this.
Huh?
I think.
Come on. I want to hear from Sister G.
I think you probably need to remove the word healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think you probably need to remove the word healthy from that.
Talk to me.
Because everybody has a different. First of all, what's healthy? You see what I'm saying? What's healthy? So if you say how many times is adequate, maybe, or that may be a better question. But if you ask me, I would say. Oh,
I'm sorry. Is that your mom?
That is my mother.
Get it, Mom.
Get it, Miss G.
Come on, Sister G.
Oh my God. Like, why are you, ma'am? Go.
I want everyone to pause and see that this is Sade's mom that says "Buck Wild."
Yeah, she all right with me. That's all.
All right
I
with
just,
me.
Yeah, I just want.
Go ahead, Terry. Break it down.
Is the show Buck Wild or who's Buck Wild?
My mother.
And her pastoral husband.
And her pastoral.
Come on.
I would say as much as each partner agrees to.
Agrees?
Yeah. What are you trying to rape somebody? If they say no, then hey, you want to agree because people can still rape inside a marriage. Yeah, I'm saying I got guys that do it all the time. So what I'm saying is you guys got to have an agreement. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, I got an itch that need to be scratched. Sometimes people just say, you know what, I don't care, just lay there, or whatever the case may be. I just want to get it in. It depends on each couple because, of course, when you're young, you're doing it like rabbits. You should be. But when you get older, you be like, I can take it or leave it. Or, and as Quest, you had mentioned something, you're talking about, your wife walking by in a sundress or whatever. I remember I used to sit out like I'd be watching TV and that old grandma gown, you know what I'm saying, that they walk by in, you'd be like, man, I'm gonna wax that. you go like, dang, and you wake up and be like, I missed it.
So I missed the window.
Yeah, you did. That's what I'm telling you. Well, my ex
look at Armina.
It was done, but my time is usually like 3 a.m. I don't know what it is. 3 o'clock. It's just.
I ain't gonna lie. The moo ministry is kind of dangerous too. You know what I'm saying?
But I would say, based on each partner's needs, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you got to get it in. I understand, your libido. And here's the thing, libido changes. It's not the same. It doesn't stay the same. You know what I'm saying? This week I may want 7 days. Next week I may want 1 day. I may want it. It can change. So based on the need, if your partner is able to meet that need, now the question becomes this: how do you know that if you ain't supposed to be having sex before marriage?
Well, I think we were talking about.
I just threw that out there. For you Christian folks.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I'm just saying. You gotta, you know how it is. You gotta kick the tires a little bit. You know, driving around the block.
Kick the tires a little bit.
Well, that's kind of what I was hearing Paul say. You know, similarly.
Leah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Right? I don't know your business. But I like your business.
Don't you test drive the car before you buy it?
I want to make sure there's insurance.
Quiet tonight, folks. Quiet tonight.
I think. So Terry, I'm quiet because I have so many thoughts going through my head right now.
So many.
Go ahead.
I don't even know how to start or address a lot of.
Let's go back to the healthy.
Yeah, so
just radically accept it.
With the healthy, this is my belief. I want to be in a relationship where my yes is yes and my no is no, and it's respected. Right? So if I say not tonight, I don't want to feel like me saying not tonight to Terry's point. I don't want to marry a husband where when I say not tonight to him, that means okay, I can go out and get it from somewhere else.
Yeah, that's not fair. I don't think that's fair.
Part of the issue is that many couples don't know how to start sexual intimacy before they even hit the bedroom.
I'll tell you this.
By the time they hit the bedroom and they try, then they feel rejected because their partner is like, yeah, no.
Or they hit the bedroom and they try and they just straight up dry.
Mina,
and then you still trying to
your point.
That issue. I'm just being real.
Yeah. Mina, to your point, one of the things that I've learned, let me just for real, let me help some of the men out real quick. If I want it on Thursday, I'm starting on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah, I'm calling. I'm sending.
Start that car.
I'm sending. I'm just telling you. We're a little bit older now, so I got to let the engine run and warm up before. But from a physiological perspective, I realize that men is just like this. They shoot and then they shoot right back down again. Women, it's this gradual climax, and then they slide back down the same way. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So for real, if I know this Thursday's coming and I want to, you know what I'm saying, do on Thursday from Sunday, I might start with a text, I might call.
Right.
Look, you know what I'm saying? I make sure the house is clean because she feel away when the house ain't clean, and all of those stuff play. Yeah, man.
But what you're talking about is consideration of your mate. That's what you're talking about.
Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't mind.
Intimacy and hold on, give me a second. Intimacy and foreplay is 24/7, 365.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
It doesn't start when you get in the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
It's you wake up in the morning, kids, a little note on the pillow, note going to work, calling throughout the day. I think your brother just send him some shots through the day or whatever.
Sade, what was that? What was that, Sade?
I just saw your hand. Sade.
What was that?
She get it from her mama.
What was?
Come on. Sade, what's this right here?
A little love tap. You walk by.
Let's stop and think about that, though. Remember, we're talking about the culture, right? I believe that a lot of your sexuality starts at your youth. What did you see? What did you experience in the home? Was it a rigid sort of space, right? Was it more open? Because that teaches you what is acceptable and what isn't.
Yeah. And it's healthy too, Leah. It's healthy that your kids see that. Sean was talking about smack on the butt. Let the kids see dad smacking on the butt, or let them see the kissing or whatever, because you're creating that culture so that they know it's okay. Now, I ain't talking about doing it in front of the kids, but I'm saying, hey, let them see that this is healthy behavior. Because certain times when you're growing up, that only was for the bedroom. You don't do nothing outside. You don't let the kids see nothing. So you grow up with all
what also is a conversation that's had in the home about sex? We don't have conversations about sex. And so our adolescents, they have emotions and feelings down there too.
Yeah.
They're going through puberty, and we let the classroom teach them what that is.
Like when Mace comes in the room and he tells mommy, it's angry.
Angry. Oh. That's a
She's like, oh my
Hold on.
Important. Yeah.
I'm using that tonight. I'm going to be like,
Yeah.
Wendy.
Yo, he tells her all the time. He says, "Mommy, it's angry. I can't get it done. It's angry." And she's like, "Oh my God, would you please go and talk to your son?" And I say, "I'm like,
Hey,
So what's that conversation like, right? So when he says that, what have you guys said to him to allow him to know that it's natural, normal?
oh, I tell him it's natural all the time. I said, son, this is like for real. I don't give him because he's only 8 years old. I let him know though, like it's a natural process. This happens. And I tell him sometimes like it happens with daddy, and he is like,
Yeah,
of course.
when it happens with daddy, it's like it's like,
Daddy got to go to his anger management class tonight.
Mommy helps me with anger management.
So let me say this.
I got 12 weeks of anger management.
Only because I'm going to say
But I let him know. The only reason why I say that to him that way is so he understands that you're not by yourself. You're not going through something weird, or you're not an alien or a weird kid. It's something that happens with the both of us.
Yeah.
And Nico's in the corner like, tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a little older now and he's about to go into puberty. So now I'm having to start having these little conversations with him as well. So, but yeah, the reason why I tell him, Mina, is just so, you know what I'm saying? I can't have the full on just yet. But I let him know.
Age appropriate conversation.
Yes, yes.
Oh, of course.
Let me say this: my mother was single from the time I was 6 to the time I was 20. So
It's angry.
Okay, well, sex in our home was definitely talked about. My mother's thing was that she would tell anybody her goal was to get her 3 girls out of high school without a baby. So there were conversations had. But what's troubling for me as her adult child is seeing her go from single to married. And the conversation started to change. And I was like, I don't want to know anything that happens with me. And she was so, and it's funny because her and my sisters, both of my younger sisters are married. They have very my sister's like, oh, we had worship this morning. I don't want to hear that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not something that we have to hide behind because we understand, like, I have a 16-year-old niece. Like we ask questions. How you feel? What, like, how you have a little friend and what are y'all doing? Because what we understand is if we don't talk to her about it, somebody else is.
That's right.
And so controlling the narrative and being able to say, hey, this is a safe place. If you want to talk about it, you don't have to go to your mom. You have a grandmother, you have aunts who you can go and say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I don't know. And those kind of things we were brought up in our household where that was okay.
I want to go after Armina. Thank you for that, Sade, because I think it's going to take us somewhere. Go ahead, Armina.
So I did see the comment from my dear sister in love, Tiffany, who wants to hear from me because she's saying I was quiet. I was actually, when you asked a question about what is healthy sexual relationships look like, I agree that everyone has their own version of healthy. Some things that I hear in my room or in my space with my clients, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, because to me, in my head, I'm like, I would never think to do that, right? But Tiffany started to talk about the older we get, we change. And, Quest, you had mentioned the phases of you didn't say phases, but you said something about like being married to Faith for the 3rd time, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There is flexibility and adaptability. That's what I think of when I think of healthy sexual relations. Mm-hmm. Because the flexibility may be that I am not in the mood, right? But my spouse is. So I'm going to take one for the team tonight or this morning or whatever time.
Ministry.
Right. But as relationships grow and change, so do our sexual needs. When I think of healthy intimacy, it includes, kind of like that ability to adapt to each other's evolving desires and life stages, because we in this for the long haul. We in this till Jesus comes or death do us part. At least that's the vows we take, right? Mm-hmm. So in doing so, we have to have the flexibility and adaptability mindset. that is not something that is, we're not born that way. We're taught that. So depending on the culture you surround yourself with is going to depend on how flexible and adaptable you become.
I want to pause for a moment, Armina. You know, apparently you, Terry, Leah, you guys bump into a lot of that. Also, as a coach, you do see a lot of that. Um, I think one of the greatest mistakes that we have made, I think, in marriage, is you see how Mama G, right, makes the comment about age appropriate conversations. Leah, you just said the same thing about age appropriate conversations as Quest was talking about his son. I think one of the problems we have, not just in church, please, but also in community, is that when you look at someone who's married for a year or 2 or 3, we don't have age appropriate conversations with couples by couples. Or you understand where I'm coming from? And so I believe, right? I was talking to this guy on Saturday night. He was going through a situation with his wife, and I expressed a couple of things to him. Okay. And when we talked, he said, "When did you feel that you were at your strongest?" I'm going to share something with y'all. I believed that I was the strongest in my marriage and I was at my strongest when I had community at my old church. All right.
What was the thing that drove that?
I think that the guys at my church, the guys at my former church, when it came to speaking about my success as a husband and as a man, they cut the pastor thing out with me.
I love it.
Okay. So
pause for a moment, P, because I think it's important that you just rest here just for a moment. There are a large number of men in the church, elders and pastors alike, who hold position. And of course, the church holds these positions like they're not human, right? Or they're held to this standard that is so high that it doesn't allow them room to be. A lot of my pastor friends love being with me because I don't look at them as pastors. I look at them as people. You know what I'm saying? And you need that room to be able to be human. So I just wanted to put that piece in there because I think that that's important. I didn't want you to just speed right over that.
Sure. And when I talk about, I'm going to say this, family, when I talk about being able to express something without being judged in a society of men, right? It makes you stronger to come back with with victories, so that the other guy who could not speak about it would say, if Graham made it, I can make this thing, I can make it too.
That sounds like
and so now I've been gone from my former church for 5 years. We see each other and he asks, "How's the battle?" Or you understand where I'm coming from? And I'm able to say, "Hey, this is the battle." Or one guy comes to my church, his name is Cliff, right? He comes to the church, he's sitting in the back. This is last Sabbath. And he comes up to me after church, everyone's shaking hands, blah, blah. He comes up afterwards, he said, "I'm just checking on you." I know what that means. Or you understand where I'm coming from? And I feel like the conversations that I needed to have, well, I did, to have with Spencer when he was 7, 8, 9 years old, the same conversations that I've had with Zenobia, is the same way I believe that seasoned couples can have those conversations with children in marriage, so to speak, so that we could become stronger. We'll realize that we're not crazy. We'll realize that this is not all bliss, but it is beautiful. And so Armina, when you talked about in the very beginning about, hey, let's meet up at a hotel, you play the role, you play the role, Wendy plays the gypsy.
And I
sorry Leah, I'm sorry, Leah. Or I'm driving down the street. Yo, Wendy, break down on 193. I'm coming to get you. You know, I really believe that's also God ordained. It's spiritual. It's it's throwing seasoning on what God has given. And I think that we don't see it that way because our mindset is God is in the conventional instead of God being in the, I need a word.
Spontaneous.
I love it. I love it.
But it's a gift, though, is it not?
I like it in a
think
bowl.
that
Let me.
condemnation has been attached to sexuality
Wow.
That part.
from the church
Hold
family,
on. Condemnation.
right? And so when you have that and you hear that at such a young age, that's where, your formative years are. That's where what I like to say, tracks are laid, right? This is what is being repeated over and over again. And so to say now that I'm married at 20 something, 30 something, 40 something years of age, and I'm going to go into this thing in a healthy manner, it's not going to happen when you've attached, right, this dark cloud to this thing that's so beautiful.
I gotta ask Sade this question. Thanks, Leah. I want to ask you this question, Sade. So you're dating. Let's just say you're dating, right? Not that the guy would be finer than me, but let's just say that you're dating.
Wow.
And the guy says,
I'm sorry.
What happened?
No, keep going. My bad.
Good, great.
Because Quest thought you should have said finer than him.
Oh, I see. Wow. Smarter than Terry. Okay, here we go.
Oh wow.
What's going on?
And if you don't ask this woman this question before, we finna go way left.
Real quick.
Sade, honestly, you're dating a guy and a guy says to you, I mean, I'm talking about exclusively, right? Because you can date and not exclusively.
Right.
Exclusively. And he says to you, hey, look, I'm not a virgin. Just stay with me. I've been,
Community D.
Not community.
Not community. I've dipped. Okay, good. How often?
Diasporic D.
What you saying, sister?
Ask the question.
I'm just waiting.
When he says to you, in your mindset, in marriage, how many times a week is for you, sister, is healthy for you? Would you entertain this question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think you have to have those conversations before you go into marriage.
Now we're talking.
Like I think you talk about it all, right? And I've said before, I felt bad because I would pray, Lord, I pray for a husband where sexually this, because I'm like, this is what I feel at this point. That's what I desire. But I also think at this point in my life, whomever I marry has to also understand, like, I'm at a point where once a month, ovulation is kicking my behind. So, like he has to be knowledgeable as well as like, what am I getting into with her? Because for a week out of the month, she may be on it like a rabbit. Then 2 weeks later, be like, I'm okay. It doesn't have to happen. So knowing the biology and having those conversations of like, what does it look like for you? What's good for you? What's not good for you? What do you like? What don't you like? And I think though, if you're trying to abstain from sex, you have to have that conversation in a safe place.
Okay. Mina, got you. Mina.
In my first marriage, we did not have that conversation because growing up, it was assumed that when you got married, that the sex was automatically there. Like it doesn't stop, in New York, we used to call it legal sex. So like you could start having legal sex when you married, and there was no timing on it. It just happened, and it just happened all the time. I thought that it would be every 2 seconds we just hitting it, like it's just there, right? Then the reality kicks in. Sit back down. Get down.
Questions all in the camera.
Right.
What you said?
The reality happens where one day I remember thinking like, oh snap, it's not like that. And like if I want it and he doesn't want it, then what do I do? Y'all, this my dog. It's my dog.
Hey, you know, you still. Hey, let me tell you something. With that little light, you still look like you're doing something. Look like you're saying something with that little light. I'm gonna get you a little tiny
Red light district.
Oh my gosh, there's a place called Red Light District.
Oh,
Not that I know anything about it.
But look, while Mina's gone, I just kind of wanted to add to what Sade was talking about. I think what we oftentimes overlook as well is there's a difference between biology and anatomy.
Say hi to the baby.
So the chemistry, right? The chemical, right, release doesn't always, trump anatomy.
Can't use another word than Trump.
I know it.
Republican.
It doesn't always Republican anatomy. I love it.
Right. So anatomically, you may have some issues, even though you have a conversation beforehand. So now what do you do?
And I also think at my age, I'm 38, you have to be realistic with these conversations. The likelihood of me even wanting to date a virgin is slim to none. So we both come with experiences. We both come with expectations. We both come with assumptions of what we think this will be like in marriage. So if we don't have that conversation prior to, we are setting ourselves up for failure, because during the conversation, we may be like, we're compatible everywhere else except here.
But sis, that's not what I'm talking about.
What you talking
I'm talking about everything. Y'all having beautiful conversations, the whole nine. Y'all get married and it comes down to it, and the joker is too big or too small. Ooh. Then what do you do?
Or he's just right.
I mean,
look, that's an underwhelming experience.
See, what I wanted to say was, can it be too big? But I'm just like,
all right. So let me say.
No, but I'm being
honest, so now you can talk. Too big, and now you can talk. Now you can talk, Terry. But after too big.
What? I was waiting for everybody. Well, as my grandmother would say, everybody ain't able. But let me say this. Okay.
Let me say
this. In the devil.
Hold on, Terry. Okay. Land your plane, Sade. Land your plane.
Let me answer. I think, to be honest, I'm not saying we have to do it all, but I do believe there's some evaluation that needs to happen before marriage.
You mean to see his penis?
See, feel, like we ain't got to do everything, but
even then, you still don't know the fit until
you.
Let me must quit.
Wow.
Look, Terry, the glove
don't fit.
That glove ain't working. It ain't hitting.
Right.
But I mean, these are real conversations.
Yeah, it is real.
I gotta ask this question though, right?
They're very real. And here's the thing: before I did my dissertation on what I did it on, I was actually going to do it on like sexual preferences and all that. And so I started doing this, interviews or whatever. And this is what I found out about women. Y'all want to know?
Yeah.
I asked, length versus width.
Girth.
Hands down, width was the answer.
Really?
Now you had some, you had some, other women that wanted both, but for the most part, it was girth. They wanted to feel it on the walls. And you're like, wow, I don't need no 8 inches. I don't need all of that. I just need something that you're like, okay. Needless to say, that study was going to take a while, so I just abandoned it.
Well, that was a longitudinal study.
No, that's how you
what in the Mary Magdalene?
I didn't serve everybody.
Did you say you couldn't serve everybody?
I did.
Yo, Pastor Paul, that's Pastor Anselm Paul.
Because you got to have research in your dissertation.
What in the Mary Magdalene?
I'm gonna use that in a board meeting. What in the Mary Magdalene?
Yeah. Oh,
I have to say.
Go back to this because I think Leah was saying something about somebody was saying something about us not talking to our kids, about sex or whatever. And so what I noticed years ago, and I just looked it up, when you look at cultures that repress stuff, you have more like cases of rape, you have more cases of, just infidelity, all kinds of crazy stuff. And so when I'm sitting here looking at it, and this was like 2022, the number of rape cases, United States is the highest, 141,486. Okay, that was 2022. Now, that's reported. That doesn't mean, see, those other ones go unreported. It's like domestic violence. If men called, who knows what those numbers would be, but men don't call. Mostly women do. Okay. Now, Amsterdam is where?
Over the pond.
Germany, right?
Over the pond.
Is it Germany?
Yep.
It's
Amsterdam, Germany.
It's
okay.
right outside. Uh-huh.
Right. So check this out. Where they have what? The red light district. Where everybody goes, it's in the windows, they doing all kind of stuff. 12,558.
It's not taboo.
Yeah, and then when you have in France it's like 38,000. So when you look at that, it's like anytime you repress something, people are gonna want to find out. Now, most of y'all went to Oakwood. I did not.
We know, poor you.
Okay, and so no, I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Not why, but I'm gonna show you something. You had a lot of folks up there that didn't look like me, and they wanted to find out about.
Oh, that's why you went to Andrews.
Because, well, okay. The deal was what I'm saying is that we were always what? Taboo. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. And so when you do that, they want to find out, well, what's so bad about them? What's so bad about them? And then you find out. And I spoke to this one girl, she was German, and I asked her, I was like, why do you do X, Y, and Z? And she said, I don't know. My dad just always said, stay away from you guys. Stay away from you guys. And I was like, so he's a racist type person? She's like, yeah, but he has cool guys that come over to the house that work for him. Those are the ones that are cool. But if he don't know you, you ain't cool. But that was the deal. When you repress people, they want to know. Look what happened after slavery. Black people wanted to drink, smoke, things that they didn't get allowed to do. They wanted to eat some ham hocks and everything else. Now we can do it. Now we can do it. And it goes off the rail because it was repressed for so long. If we're not having these conversations with our kids when, age appropriate at the time when it happens, when they're going through the angry stage, the deal is have those conversations when you need to. So that way they're not finding out on their own. They're not getting involved in things.
So are you saying that if we're not having these conversations, people will get curious and try to, I'm just trying to.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because here's the thing, even with, it doesn't even have to be sex, just with anything. Well, why can't we do this? Or why can't we do that? Or why don't we do this? And so you want to find out why you can't, because it doesn't look so bad. And then you test it out and you see. So you got to have those.
In other words, we should test out each other so that when, right?
That ain't what I said. But if you want to test somebody out, then test them out. I think in 2025, it's hard. Sade said it. To find somebody who's a Virginian. No, virgin. Okay, it's going to be. There are a lot of Virginians out there, but it's going to be hard to find someone. And so you think about it. If both people are virgins, you will probably have a pretty good relationship because nobody has any experiences to bring to it. You see what I'm saying? We're both learning together. But when you have people who have had experiences, it may be a little bit difficult because somebody's libido may be more than the other one. Somebody may be used to certain things. And here's another thing too that we never talked about tonight. does this person suffer from abuse? Were they raped? Were they molested? That could also be playing a part in their unwillingness to. Or you meet somebody with a high libido, what you find
They may
out
be
is-
hypersexual.
right.
An individual can be.
Have you ever heard, Terry, that hypersexual also can come from a level of ADHD?
I've heard it from bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bipolar. Yep.
On the high.
Yeah.
Because they think that, I am the king of, or I'm the queen of, and I can do everybody. That's in that mania up here, and then when they crash and burn, boom, it's like,
So I ask this: if you could do it all over again, I know I can ask questions because we've talked about this online. I'm not putting anybody out there, but if you could do it all over again, would you want to be married a virgin, or would you have liked to have had at least an experience or some experience before going in?
If I could do it again, I'd be married a virgin.
Yeah, me too.
You was talking to Quest or me?
Anyone who wants to answer, I'm not putting it out there. I can say
let me say why too,
ladies.
Let me say why too,
because we've had this conversation live before. Yeah. That's why I'm talking to Quest. That's what I'm saying.
I'll answer after Quest. Go ahead.
The reason why I'm saying that is because what Dr. T, said a while ago is firm. When you've had experiences, right, you have a tendency sometimes to judge what's good sex and what's not good sex depending on your past experience. If you got blown, all the way out, you're looking for every experience to match that experience. And if it don't, you're going to say that, the P is whack or the D is whack. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing that, you want to start that with somebody that you're spending life with, and then matriculate through the seasons of sexual growth. And I don't want to have any other experiences. I've heard people say dumb stuff to me like, I don't care if you're a virgin, you know what bad sex is. Shut up, you dummy. If you ain't never had sex before, how do you know? What are you related to? What's your metric as to what to determine what's good sex or bad sex? Get out of here, right? I want to be able to grow with the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with and just matriculate through the seasons of sexual growth, what we like, what we don't like. Because the question that you asked earlier on in terms of what's healthy is to be able to sit and have candid conversations about what you like, what I like, what positions you like. Do you like to talk during sex? Do you like to caress? Do you like to, what are all the things that you like? You know what I'm saying? So that we can grow to, I that's not really my thing, but I can do that for you because I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be able to just grow with somebody through that. And if I had the chance to do it all over again, I'd do it differently.
So does that also include, right, or exclude pornography, right? Because an individual
I was just gonna
may never have had sex, but you can still have, visualization based upon what you've seen, and now you're measuring the performance thereof. So yeah, are you cutting that out too?
Yeah.
I'm cutting it out, and here's why, right?
Are you talking about masturbation as well?
All of that.
Now, when you got angry at 8,
you know what I'm saying?
Or 54.
Yeah. But here's the funny thing. I think Marty said it earlier on in the string somewhere. I think her last name is Diaz. She said,
That's my niece. Go ahead, I'll catch her.
She said purity culture.
Yeah.
I think, that's it. Has taken away from having a mature conversation.
Yeah.
I need to be able to have mature conversations with you
and then
surrounding our sex.
Let me be clear. She's 22.
Yeah. Good. I mean, and she's on it. You could be mad as the Dickens. I could be mad at you, right? But I understand some things about our relationship. Let me break you off real quick, and then I can go back to being mad with you after. Why? This has to be protected, right? This relationship that we have, this connection that we have, it has to be protected. If I operate in a particular way, I can low key
get an enemy foothold in this thing. And then now, like I always tell couples, you not the problem, your spouse is not the problem is the problem. Now you work together against the problem and not each other. And we low-key sometimes, just in this dynamic right here, I'm mad at you, I'm siding with the enemy now, and I'm listening to him whisper in my ear, don't get at her for nothing, make her dry for the next 2 weeks. And you low-key doing that stuff. And you messing up the marriage. Listen, I'm mad at you. I'm gonna break you off real quick. We're gonna tear this sealer up, but I'm mad at you. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna know that, you're gonna know it. Hey, I'm down for that.
But you said something that you glossed over that I want to go back to.
Yeah.
You know, to give it a clinical term, the first time having sex, it's a euphoria. It feels like a drug or alcohol. You know, the brain produces
heroin.
Right. So we're consistently chasing that, right? We're looking to level up and to find that, because if you think about the initial experience, there's a bunch of things, right? You got the excitement, you got the novelty, you got the intense emotional connection, you have, and all those things can really create this powerful psychological and physical reaction. So when we're talking about, would you do it the same way, or would you go in like never having it before? The older we are, we've experienced it in some way. So I don't know, you know, P, to answer the question, I don't know if in our minds, yes, but I don't know if that reality was in front of us, if it would even be that.
I got you.
I didn't get to respond to that.
I'm gonna come to you. I'm coming to you, Terry. We hit the 10:30 mark. We're gonna start landing the plane. So Terry, go ahead, and I'm gonna go around the horn with you guys on a question. Go ahead, Terry.
Actually, what I was gonna say was what Amina just said.
Okay.
When you talk about, you know, sex is like, it is like a drug, and that's why you're an addict, because you're constantly chasing that first high you first got from it. Yeah. And so the deal is, I remember I had got to a point, if we're being honest, I remember I got to a point, and this was about around college. I was like, is this what it's all about? Is this what it's all about? You know, because the chase is cool, but after you like, okay, there you go again. There we go again. So to answer the question, it's not that if I would like to be a virgin, I would like both of us to be. You see what I'm saying? Both of us to experience things together. Right. And when Leah brought up something, that's another thing I was going to say, but Leah got in front of me. Anyway, here's the thing. That's my fam. Okay. What I was going to say is, yes, cut out the porn so you have no idea of, you see what I'm saying? Cut out the fondling, cut out all of that stuff. So when you come together, you experience everything together.
Even the rose.
Yeah, cut the rose out. I think Paul posted my picture of me and the rose a couple of weeks ago.
I sure did.
Yeah, I want that to replace me on the other thing.
Look, on the advertisement when we show up live, it's gonna be with the rose.
Yeah, and so I mean, now here's the thing too. I don't know if we talked about, you know, people experiencing things together. Like in my men's class, when we talk about maintaining healthy sexual relationships, a lot of guys will, you know, women see pornography as cheating on them. You know what I'm saying? My woman don't let me watch that. She'd be like, we ain't bringing that smut in here. We ain't doing whatever. I think everything could be cool if y'all doing the stuff together. You know what I'm saying? But there has to be a willingness for that to happen. And if porn is too, you know, what's the word? Give me a word, Leah. If porn is too explicit, then do some Kama Sutra stuff.
Come on, or disrespectful. Do
some Kama Sutra stuff. Or disrespect, whatever word you want to use.
Or sinful. It's sinful.
Be careful.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, you know, and see, everything there has to be some moderation, because you can watch a whole lot of that. You know what I'm saying? And I remember a class I was doing on Sunday mornings. Every time I came in there, this young man was sitting there. He's on his phone. And I would always say, anytime I see some people on their phone for a long time, I say, hey, stop watching all that porn. And half the time I'm right. You know what I'm saying? And the kid said, shoot, Dr. Parks, I'm young. I said, you are now. I said, when you get older and you're going to need this to get you there, you probably want to stop doing this now, sir, because it's not going to bode well for you down the road.
Or as we would often tell the guys, you're going to burn your joystick out.
Mm-hmm.
Get hairy palms.
Or find yourself opening up doors to other places and spaces. Watch out.
Absolutely. Because what happens
Exposure
is
too early.
Right. When you get exposed to that stuff, then there's like, where do you go? Where do you go from there? And then that's when you start to do other things. That's when you start to invite other people in, and you start to do, if you look at I think it's the Rothschild parties where everybody would come. What was the movie with Tom Cruise? Eyes Wide Shut, and people would come in with all those masks on. It's because you've gotten to so much power, so level. Look at Puffy. You've got to a point to where this just isn't good for me anymore. I want to do some wilder stuff. You want to keep, and like said earlier,
telling you,
there's a high. I can't get that from this. And you got to keep taking it to the next level, and the next level, and the next level. And then it's like people and things and animals and all kind of stuff, because you've been exposed to so much at an early age, or you have so much power right now that I can do whatever I want, and people are going to do
it. Yeah.
I want to say this to Armina. I want to thank you for redirecting this whole thing today. And I think that I'm going to say this. It's crazy how at the end of this conversation, there's more people than before online. I don't know if people want to get on late at night and they can't sleep, but I got to share this with you. Last year, the year before, Pat and I did something at Pure Reality. I don't know if Ryan is on right now, but they do this every year. And I'm going to say this, they have about maybe over 500 young, I'm talking about from the age of 13 to 18 that are there. And then they have a young adult track. And I'm going to really talk to them about us going there next March. Just, they don't have to get anybody else. We'll just do everything. You know what I'm saying? I think we have.
And I'm sorry for interjecting. Even in those conferences or sidebar classes of talking about purity, I don't think we ever talk about the disappointment when we slip up and engage in the behavior. Right?
Leah, there you go again, right?
I mean,
we've been spending time. We spent maybe twice on the 21-day reset, right? And there is something to be said about how redemptive you are around sin. I'm not even talking about sexual sin, around sin. And I think one of the things that we have to realize that everything we talked about tonight is not sin. I mean, it's not even redemptive. I think that we spend too long. I just found a clip of something that, I'm sorry, Leah, to cut you off, but I just found a clip of something that I preached about in England maybe about 8 years ago. And someone sent it to me. They just did that one little clip and sent it to me. And in that clip, it said, we spend too much time. Why do we think that the greatest sin is sex or the sexual sin? I think that it is greatly distorted, but I listen, I've never heard God say that sex is an abomination unto the Lord, even if it wasn't done right. How about a lying lips are abomination unto the Lord? There's so many abominations out there, and it's never been adultery. Mm-hmm. It hasn't, and I think that we have spent a lot of time demonizing sexuality, weaponizing sexuality, instead of, watch this, glorifying it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm angry right now.
But our entire conversation was centered on, we're talking about this in the context of marriage.
You're right. Yes, you're absolutely
Right.
right.
The entire conversation. It was not about a single individual engaging in sex and that being okay.
Right.
So, either we have to bring some balance to this, or we have to look at it the way that the Christian community looks at this. And then we have to remember how we perpetuate the distance once an individual is married, how they don't know how to show up as a sexual individual.
Gotcha.
Right? Because I remember the young girls. I used to be over AY and our conference, youth federations, and all of that sort of stuff. And there is shame attached to this if you show up as a human being and see yourself outside of marriage having sex.
I got you.
That's why we would go to the purity ball over the weekend when we just done had sex during that week after school. Matter of fact, we probably cut school to go have sex. Okay.
Get out my business. Leave my business alone.
I'm just being transparent.
That's why I can't stand
kids are going to explore, right? And sex is a language.
Right. It's not a bad thing. It's just I don't know how to
context.
Right. And I don't know how to get us Christians to see that, because we can't spin it so bad. And then as soon as the couple get married, we asking them, when you going to have a child?
Yeah.
Well, children don't just drop from heaven. You got to do stuff in order to have a kid.
Right.
I thought children were a gift from the Lord.
The other thing is we don't teach intimacy.
It's a stork. It's a gift from the stork.
But if we don't, the thing is, the main issue is, yes, we talk about sex, but we don't teach
DP.
And something that has to be taught. And we're so focused on sex that we don't create a culture where it's okay to talk about how do you engage your spouse even before you get to the bedroom. We don't talk about how do you create intimate, like you can have an intimate conversation and be single. That isn't, but if we're waiting if everything that I'm supposed to experience is waiting until marriage, that's concerning sex, I don't understand what an intimate conversation looks like. I don't understand what holding hands, like, I don't understand even how to show my love languages, if that's what we want to call it, because we're geared towards all of that is just supposed to lead to sex.
Yes.
Wow. Listen, I know that I'm going to go around the horn and the horn. And
I can't do it.
It's really bad.
And I got to be honest with you, I don't really have a question, because I feel like you guys have really covered a lot, and it's part of it is a little bit triggering, right? Oh, look at a big time. That's the big time General Conference person, Philip Baptiste, Pastor Philip. We in trouble now. Now we got the General Conference in here.
Hola, Pastor.
I ain't in trouble. I ain't in trouble.
I got the General Conference, Philip Baptiste up in here. At least
Terry, tell the pastor what up, though.
Oh, he from the D?
No, I'm just saying, just tell him what up, though. You know how the greeting is.
Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna say this.
Hey, how does she say her last name? Ing?
No. That's not her last name.
Oh, okay.
But put her comment back up. I want
Sorry
to
about that.
pass myself.
Said in this sermon, sex between a husband and wife is the most highest level of expression from a spiritual perspective.
I believe it.
Angels rejoice when a husband and wife get together, bro.
For real, there are conversations right now that says don't have sex on the Sabbath. So, like,
Sure is. And whether or not, you're sinning. Yeah.
Shoot.
Man,
Can we not entertain them? That's dumb. That's
Friday
dumb.
night, Saturday after church, man. What you talking about?
So let me
But
first
listen,
of all,
y'all,
you know why?
keep
Because
telling you,
people
women and men have two different informationals that's coming our way.
I'm just saying,
Easy,
people are
easy.
misconstrued about what Sabbath is. The way Sabbath is supposed to work. Go and read the book of Isaiah. You're supposed to come in,
worship, and then leave and look for people that you can extend grace to. Who needs help? Who needs whatever? That's what you're supposed to be doing. Why? Because it's a form of worship. So you think the highest relationship, the one relationship that God relates to his relationship with the church, right? And you telling me, it's already understood that when a husband and wife come together, it's like a form of worship. You telling me that it can't happen on the Sabbath? Get your dumb tail up out of here.
But I
Dumb
think
The
tail.
purpose of the
Okay,
Sabbath
good.
is to do good.
I think it's because we've put the enemy in our bed instead of putting God in our bed. Right?
The enemy is fun.
Okay, not okay.
Hey, the purpose of the Sabbath is to do good. I want to do
But
good.
she said it again. It's that purity culture. It's your thing that in order to do this, I got to do this. You become so legalistic that the relationship piece is not even there.
So y'all, are we saying that now? Let's be real. And I know we were supposed to be ending, but we didn't kind of dumped into a whole nother body of water.
Go ahead.
Are we saying, because we have people that are onlookers, right? That there is nothing wrong with having sex outside of marriage? Is that what we saying?
Outside of marriage?
Marriage, outside of marriage.
Yeah, no, I ain't
Biblically,
saying
no.
that.
Biblically, no.
I ain't saying that.
How do we get there?
We got there because we started to talk about, and Paul said, I don't see nowhere where it's saying that, sex is an abomination. And I just want clarity, because the way it was formulating was
that it was okay.
Sex is all good.
No.
Remember, I talked about it from a singles perspective.
It was funny. I wanted you to. I thought it was implied. P. I knew what you were saying. But just make it clear.
No, I would never. And let me close it off by saying this. And I hear what you're saying, sis. I want to be really careful. I don't believe. Let's say that we were not biblically. Let's say we were not biblically based. Okay. What I hear Armina talk about a lot is we're not doing this just for church folk. All right. The best practice is to wait. For so many different reasons, the best practice is to wait. The problem is that when we get there, we sometimes wish we would have practiced in the wait. Or you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And I think that we as men, this is what I love about what you just said again, Leah, that we have different perspectives. My uncles would tell you practice during the wait, and as a woman you don't practice during the wait. But so then it puts a weight, a different kind of weight on the
heaviness.
The woman, a heaviness on the woman who's trying to keep a burden. Wow. On a woman who has the same, this is what I've learned tonight, who has the same attributes as a man. Right. Tonight, what I've seen, I'm just telling you tonight, what I've seen is that, hey, I'm visual, you're not, or you're not visual as I am. I've learned tonight that based on what y'all said, and then what happened in the comments was like, no, we just as. It's just that the standard for us is different for you than you guys, or we were taught differently, and it's the same thing biblically. How could Solomon do all the things that he has done and catch up afterwards? How could Rahab be this harlot, and then she comes into the fold, right? And still she's seen as a harlot. She's still called a harlot. I mean, there's Mary would still be known as someone who had Jesus out of wedlock. You ain't really the son of God, because what you really is okay,
a bastard.
Right, a bastard, according to this I'm coming to you, Desire of Ages. I want to be clear, and you're right, Joe, it is a double standard. The real thing is that, and this is how I'm closing off with something personal. I lost my virginity at 15 years old. And after I lost my virginity at 15 years old, the next time and as a sophomore, the next time I did anything at all was in college. And I realized, and when I say college, it was in going into almost into my third year of college, because I've lost all of my girlfriends the individuals who was doing it and I wasn't. So now is that the mindset now is I'm not losing anyone else because of that. And I can go as far as to say, and I'm taking body counts with me now.
I should with the Oakwood.
And so in light of that, I think that the redemption of where did this come from? It came from somewhere. I was not being non-biblical. I was taking care of my heart. You understand where I'm coming from? So the waiting, and I'm not talking about spiritually. A woman or young lady who waits, get her education, does what she needs to do, keeps herself chaste, has a boyfriend, and decides that she's not going to have sex because there's too many implications with that. Not talking spiritual yet. It is something that we should be teaching our community.
No doubt.
Right? That there are more reasons to wait other than pregnancy.
Yes.
There are more reasons to wait other than pregnancy. And what I've heard tonight among that I'm going to say this, that the difficulties in marriage usually does not come from when people are virgins and get married. It comes from different mindsets before you get married.
Yeah.
And then you get married with different mindsets and expectations. And for everyone who is on tonight, I wish that we would have had this conversation 30 years ago. That's what I wish. We had this conversation. Listen, we're looking at the time, can't go around the clock, but I want to thank Armina again for just pushing that conversation. I want to thank Sade for just being who you are. I want to thank I'm going to say this Quest for teaching us about being angry. I want to seriously, I want to thank
Really,
Terry.
that should go to Mason because Mason taught.
No problem. I just text someone, tell my man angry.
Yeah, you know that.
Terry, I'm telling you, don't stop with your stories. It really helps us to realize where we're going. And Leah, I'm going to say this. I love the way you just plant the seed, share with us without caring. And okay, I'm throwing caution to the wind when you say what you need to say. Wendy always says you are the light-skinned Ian Levanzant. That's who you are. The red one. So for all those who are watching, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. We got a couple of things that's really exciting. In a couple of weeks, Sade, we're going to be introducing our YouTube channel.
Yeah, let's go.
Right. And our Instagram, we're just going to be pushing like crazy. Because we really want to share with you, not all over the place, but in one place. And so thank you for joining us. And we're hoping that this bridge brought you over to the other side. Be blessed, y'all.